Welcome to 5-Star Weekly. This week we name our ultimate Atlanta United 5-a-side, take a dip in the mailbag, and we update you on COVID-19 and its impact on the football world. All that and more coming up. Welcome to the show, 5-Star fam. I'm AJ and this is Tanner and Marc. Before we get into it, become a member of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button or hop over from Facebook and subscribe. This segment is sponsored by Thinking Man Tavern, a cozy Decatur neighborhood pub. Grab a tasty beverage from a wide variety of selections and a plate of something delicious from the menu. To go, check out Thinking Man Tavern. Hope you all are staving off boredom and staying safe. Let's get into the headlines and highlights from the past week. And first up is Josef Martinez. Our number 7 is rehabbing on floor number 7. Is that a good omen?
I'll take all the good omens I can get at this point with Josef and his knee. Yeah.
Indeed. And plus, he's back on crutches, so that's great to see. And, we're just all hoping for the best for Josef Martinez in this time. I'm sure he's probably a little bit lonely up in Pittsburgh where he's doing his rehabilitation. But, it's one of those things where hopefully he's staving off also the, COVID-19 there as well. Scary times. Him having to deal with that. We live in now. God, that's...
Although maybe like the thing of him being stuck in the building working on rehab, maybe it'll help him rehab better, so he'll be back faster whenever it is that he does come back. And I think we talked about it last week with the surgery. He did a different type of ACL surgery that people usually don't do, or that Zlatan did, or something like that. And so hopefully, if he's rehabbing and he's stuck there because he can't leave because of the quarantine, maybe he'll be back quicker.
Right. And, we cannot just dismiss that Tanner has completely shaved his face. And
I look about 12.
We pretend we didn't see it or anything like that.
Speaking of Zlatan, my Zlatan's gone now, the whole thing. I have a chin and a face. I was bored. The whole thought process is outside of this interaction. I won't have to see another human until I can grow it back. So, if I decide to grow it out again, you'll never know what I look like in person.
Very true. But anyway, so let's move on to PT Martinez. And he posted for the first time during the quarantine. He's on a stationary bike on his patio, and he's got his family in the kitchen. Heartwarming to see that, he's been able to be with his family. Obviously, last season was a little bit tough on him without his full family there for the majority of the beginning of it. And he's getting more and more acclimated. I think his mother is even in town, so probably good if they wanted some alone time, if they wanted to take a walk even. So, and not have to babysit the kid even. But apparently the stationary bikes that you've seen from several of the players are actually from the club's training facility. That's per Felipe Cardenas of The Athletic on a tweet. They received that as part of their conditioning program, and I'm sure there's a Peloton joke in there somewhere, but it is one of those things where, they need to stay fit somehow, because if we're going to be where it's going to be a shutdown and we can't even go to the park or go where there's, a lot of people at all, they need some sort of way to be able to, be in their tip-top shape. And that's going to be really difficult. And if you think about it, these athletes are finely tuned. Even the bike is probably not going to be enough.
Yeah. No, all of this, athletes are creatures of habit, So this, this obviously is not the most important thing, but it's really disrupting, their season, their routines. And so I think that's one of the considerations for Major League Soccer when they are coming back, when they set a return date is, these teams are probably going to need at least a couple weeks worth of scrimmages and whatnot. You might see some teams try to schedule something on the fly just to get them warmed up, because to go from cold turkey to playing games, it's not going to do any good for the quality of the play.
Yeah, and especially the probably amount of weekday matches that we probably will have. They have aimed to play for 34 games. So it will be just a conundrum for sure for everyone involved.
I mean, is 2 weeks enough though? I mean, usually this is basically like almost a mini off season by the time that they get back to playing again. It was like a second off season. So yes, the guys will have less miles in the legs, but also you have to be, like Mark said, you have to be at match fitness. Otherwise you run the risk of injury. So you want to be able to be in that match fitness, and it's almost like a second preseason. So, I mean, I would certainly hope they don't just rush back in and just try to get the games going as soon as possible, because that'd be pretty stupid.
Indeed. But they have continued and extended the training moratorium to April 3rd. So, today is the 25th. So at least a couple more weeks, it seems, if my math is correct, I think. But, and so, that's when they can even start group training in that sense. But the other caveat in there is that while there is this time, MLS players can at least go out of their market if it's actually allowed. It's going to be a case by case, and it'll be by car. And so obviously our South American players cannot go home. But maybe some of the other ones that, if they live in California, they can do a little road trip. It'll be interesting for them. But either way. But anyway, speaking of South American players, Ezequiel Barco spoke with TYC, and he spoke about a possible return to his first club, Independiente. He said, quote, "I want to go back to El Rojo. First, I want to go to Europe as I'm only 20, but I promised I'd return." And he also has a little kind of weird tie with Sergio Aguero as well, is that if Aguero calls him in 1 year to go, he said, quote, "I'd be back. If he called, I would." Which, it's a whole conundrum of like how he would even be able to go back to Independiente anyway. It would be like on loan if it even were. But I mean, having that, it's kind of true, because you have a super young guy, and then Aguero, who's kind of near on the tail end of his career. Probably never going to happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, with his game, he's just going to keep scoring 30 goals a season for somebody if he's not hurt.
And it's, I think, even more of the adage of, the Argentine leagues are somewhat kind of a retirement league of sorts. You got Tevez there. They've been trying to get, PSG's... I'm blanking right now for whatever reason. Jesus Christ. Anyway, but they're trying to get, one of PSG's strikers. And so it's a strange thing to begin with. I think he's just being asked by a South American outlet. And of course, he's going to say he's going to go back to his original club. Right. So,
but anyway, TYC.
Yeah, exactly. Good old TYC. Yeah. But Cavani, Edison Cavani.
Oh
my God. Anyway, so goalkeeper Alec Can, he has been lauding the medical professionals that have been keeping us alive and just doing so much for society. He said, quote, "I've been thinking a lot about people who are putting their lives on the line every day to make sure that this virus is contained and that people survive. To the nurses out there, the doctors, we are very thankful. Me and the rest of the guys on the team, we are very thankful for what they do. Just to all the fans, hang in there. It's not easy for everyone. We will get through it together. When it's back and we're playing in front of 70,000 people again, I think people will appreciate what we have here even more because it was taken away." And that was per Doug Robertson on AJC. But I mean, that's... Obviously, he states it really beautifully there. And I mean, us as fans, I mean, dang, we are definitely reeling. There's a lack of, the Five Stripes, definitely a huge void in our lives right now.
And it was just long enough of a tease to be like, oh, you have it, and it's gone. Like the old Geico commercial with the fishing pole with the $1 bill of this Atlanta United. You nearly had it. You nearly had your MLS, and there it goes.
It was what, 5 games, right? We had 5 games of total, in all competitions, and then it's...
man. Yeah, I know. It was just getting interesting, too, especially with the Sporting KC game coming. I was really looking forward to that game in particular, just from like a quality standpoint.
It's true. And they were playing well. We were overperforming, arguably.
Arguably, right.
Yeah,
and so, I mean, we were about to find out, I feel like, about Atlanta, especially after, the beatdown in Mexico. So, But yeah, it kind of sucks actually. That's like the note we have to end on, but it's whatever.
Look,
Indeed.
again, my thing is that it's less time that we're missing from Joseph, so it's a freebie. Like, all this time, it sucks, but, like, Joseph, I mean,
True.
do we really want to play games without Joseph? Not
True.
really, so this little act of heaven is bad, but also good if you're being optimistic and glass half full, I guess.
Right, yeah, silver lining for sure.
Yeah, silver
But,
lining. Hey,
yeah.
that and Liverpool might not win the title, which would be hilarious.
Oh, it's banter.
God.
It's
Oh,
banter.
God.
No Liverpool fans here, obviously, but definitely there are some watching. So maybe commiserations.
Nope.
Maybe.
Nope.
Maybe.
Nope.
But anyway, moving on. So yes, at 8 p.m. in Midtown Atlanta, everyone there has been clapping. The people in the hospitals working tirelessly. We're not quite Italy in terms of like the singing and the beautiful guitar playing that they've been doing, but it's still a beautiful gesture nonetheless. It kind of goes along with what Alec Can is saying as well. I mean, yeah, I don't think just the Italian just like folk music even we're not that talented, and I think
Well,
in
that and the way
United
the
States.
cities are, you know what I mean? We're so spread out. And Midtown, I guess, is more compact, but you just have all these old historical Italian buildings so close to each other with these little balconies, and it's a bit more special there, I guess, because it's Italy and not Midtown Atlanta.
I can't think of a song that like everybody would rally around. You know what I mean? I just feel
I mean, it'd
like
probably be
any
by
song-
Outkast or something.
But
Maybe in Atlanta, maybe.
having
No.
having all of Midtown sing "Hey Ya."
Yeah, which is actually a really sad song, actually.
Yeah.
But we won't get into that. But
How applicable.
but anyway, something that was happy at least was the San Jose v Atlanta match from yesteryear, the one in 2018 where we came back and it was a 4-1 score, and then we turned it around to a 4-3. It was one of those 5-stripe after dark type of matches. But Darren Eels, the president, he recounted on Reddit his first-person account of the experience there and that fourth goal. He said on Reddit, so when San Jose's fourth goal went in, I stormed out of the technical box and stomped up and down the corridor outside, kicking the metaphorical cat. I was furious. I came back into the box and Josef was stepping up to take the penalty. Unbelievable. I knew we would win at that moment. He's one of us, y'all.
Yeah,
I mean,
seriously.
Oh my god! I mean, the funny thing is, we cannot forget the most memorable thing of that whole game is that it was 1 minute and 40 seconds between the time that the handball happened and the penalty was called. I had forgotten how bad those broadcasters were. They are just like, I would rather it be silent for the entire 90 minutes than have to listen to those guys. They are so bad.
I've seen some silent streams and I'm oddly cool with it sometimes. I'm just like, it's kind of zen. I mean,
Yeah, that or like the
Right.
random Russian or French stream where just like, I don't know where this is coming from, but I'm listening to Russian or French now. Would be
Wait.
better.
do you mean that you illegally stream?
Back when illegal streams still worked before they shut most of those things down. But I mean, that game had so much in it. I mean, you had a Tito banger, you had horrible and unlucky defending. I mean, Danny Hosen scored a hell of a goal for San Jose. And then you just have that little weird moment of you have the penalty, then Miggy scores the equalizer a few minutes later off of another penalty that the ref plays advantage on.
Yeah.
And Miggy looks at him and is just like, yo, you going to give us the penalty? He's like, no. And he's like, oh, well, I have the ball. May as well score now.
Yeah,
It's just
I
like,
know, right?
what is going on?
He literally looks at the ref and it's like, oh, the ball. Oh, the goal.
Okay. He looks at the ref, argues like, oh, whatever, and just carries on. And it's just like time just froze for a second. It's just like, what is happening? Although I kind of get with Darren Eels. It was one of those moments where, like, when you get a call like that, it just sucked everything out of San Jose's sails. And they just felt like everything was going against them after that. And then they just kind of collapsed. And it was just one of those things that shows what kind of a title-winning team Atlanta had. Although I will add, forgot that Chris McCann played left back. That was weird.
Yeah, no, I mean, he had some defensive interventions and whatnot, but yeah, he definitely wasn't really going forward. But I mean, yeah, it was, he got rinsed a little bit. But and I think it's arguably why the scoreline was maybe the way it was a little bit. We had some deficiencies for sure when certain players were in the team, and that's just kind of part of it.
Vaco took 5 guys' souls by himself on that third goal. I
That
mean, the
was
defending on the
shoddy
third
defending.
goal was shocking. I mean, I think he sold LGP, McCann, Escobar, Gressel, and then maybe one other person in
I
there.
think
But it
Parkey
was just,
was unfortunately the last person that saw him.
yeah, it
before
was
he
just,
scored.
he just everybody. And I remember I was like, I'm not even mad. Like, I'm mad, but like at the same time, he just sold everyone a dream. So that was a hell of a goal.
Agreed. But
Also, seeing Wondolowski miserable is fantastic.
and that's what it was.
Forgive.
Yeah,
I will never forgive him for 2014, and
Yeah.
he just gets so angry. It's hilarious.
they were incredibly salty. I think that's why. Yeah, I think when your leaders can't even focus on the game, then there it is. They've lost their head, and that's probably why the scoreline was the way it was. But anyway, speaking of leaders and Parkey challenged the LA United president again, Darren Eales, to a new challenge, opposite foot keepy uppies. He did, I think, 36 or 32, something like that. But not to be outdone, the president, he hit 40 head keepy uppies, and he said, quote, "Hey, MF Parkhurst." I always think it's Michael fucking Parkhurst, but it's Michael, whatever his middle name is, Parkhurst. He said, "As you know, I'm a cultured midfielder who doesn't have a weak foot, so I went with headers instead. Crushed you, but even the worthy cause, because I'm happy to match your $100 donation to ACFB. Stay safe." Just kind of fun little banter from the president and our former captain. But Darren Eales, he's got some techers, man. I mean, he's just one of those guys that he's got sneaky skills for sure.
I thought he was gonna have an accident, like when he's juggling on his head, like moving around. I was like, no, don't. But he was on top of it, man.
It's
You'd
true,
expect
yeah.
one of his sons to just run out of nowhere, just 2-foot him or something like that.
Yeah, but I think his son was cheering him on, and you can hear it in the background, and it was very sweet, very sweet. But so the LA United Academy staff also did a collaborative stay-at-home challenge as well. They kind of did it like the Nike commercial that you've seen in past years, where it just goes from kind of scene to scene, where they bounce the toilet roll around. Good different stuff to see. Also from the LA United Academy as well, some of the kids. They did one of those trick shots where it bounced off of the garage door wall, or just the garage wall, and then they hit it into the basketball net. And apparently it was one take, and the first take apparently. So okay, all right, we've got some kids that have a lot of techers as well. And some of the LA United 2 players did it as well, but none from the current first team that I've noticed have done any of this. Curiously, what the hell's going on? Why are they all so just curmudgeons on social media right now?
Maybe they're working on their own thing.
Yeah, but what should they do if they do one? I mean, any suggestions?
I mean, at this point, everything's kind of already been done. So it's like, who's going to be creative and original and pull something out? I mean, if anyone's going to do something, I feel like Escobar or Remedi could pull something funny out of there and just do something. I feel like Josef would have done something if he wasn't otherwise indisposed. So, yeah, I don't know.
Agreed.
We'll see. I mean, I figure someone will do something at some point because they'll just be bored enough to do it.
Right.
I think so, yeah. And maybe it's just like, all the players, they don't know each other enough, maybe. And because it's still, we have like 12 or 13 new players on the team. So they were just kind of, they know each other in a month. So,
Yeah.
But anyway, let's move on. Some really heartwarming news. Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation, they announced nearly $5.4 million in funding for the coronavirus relief efforts. And this will help the nonprofits in Atlanta and Montana, where he also has a home. Just, man, Uncle Arthur is the best. I mean, holy crap. Wow. But other I guess, famous people that have donated in the past and present of this past week has also been Messi. He donated 1 million euros. He did it for between a hospital in Barcelona and another in Argentina. Sergio Ramos, not to be outdone, he donated 264,000 masks and 15,000 testing kits. And then Messi's former coach, Pep Guardiola, he donated 1 million euros to fight coronavirus as well, with the Angel Soler Daniel Foundation. Conor McGregor also donated 1 million euros worth of hospital equipment. Roger Federer as well, 1 million Swiss francs. And Rihanna also donated 5 million. And, she's coming out of nowhere, but she's, doing her part as well. The famous people are coming together and, definitely, looking out for the people.
Well, at least some rich people are, trying to look out for the people right now, because so many aren't.
Indeed. We won't get into politics on this show, so we'll move on very quickly.
Is that politics? No, I get you.
It is.
But no, it's great. It's great to see. And then you can see, but like you see where all this donations are going. It's to hospital equipment, hospital, I guess. They need facilities, they need beds, they need ventilators, like they need masks.
And that's like as of today, which is we're recording this on the 25th, I guess maybe yesterday, where Atlanta said all of its ICU, wards are full right now already. Mm-hmm. And it's like this thing hasn't even gotten nearly as bad as it's supposed to get in terms of like number of cases and stuff.
Also, a chief medical officer, whatever, down in Albany said the same thing about the hospital system down there in Albany, Georgia. So. And exactly what you said. Exactly. So it's
crazy times.
I think you're seeing the humanity, I guess, from some individuals, from a lot of people.
For sure. But Michael Owen, a former Ballon d'Or winner, he reminded us all of his Ballon d'Or trophy. Once upon a time, is this the world's biggest flex? He basically, you can see right now, he kicks it onto his Ballon d'Or trophy. Not really. That's not what happened. He was already on there, and it's rotating. It's I think the world's weirdest flex, probably. I mean,
very weird man.
If you can recall Michael Owen and his Ballon d'Or, it's
he was really good when he was young, and then his hamstring fell off, and then he went to Madrid.
Yeah. But speaking of a former Liverpool person, or a Liverpool person as well, James Milner, he's lost his damn mind.
He is bored.
He named his coronavirus isolation 11, and I don't even know. We'll just play it.
Hi guys, here's the team for today. We have Joe Hart in goal. We have not a lead but a Walker, Kyle Walker right back. John Terry's chocolate orange. Dominic Matteo. Leeds legend Trevor Cherry. David Silva. David Batty. If we rub this lamp, a genie will appear. Genie Wijnaldum. Patrick Berger. Thierry Henry. Jeff Horsfield, and on the bench, Brett Friedel, Gabriel Heinze, Frank Lampard, couldn't play him because I didn't want his wires getting crossed with Genie in the middle, Rule Fox, Titi Kamara, David Healy, and last but not least, Lewis Dunk. Managed by Fabio Capello.
And, it's ridiculous.
He loves a good pun.
Wow.
Like, he's
John
really
Terry,
committed to the bad.
Frank Lampard. At least Thierry Henry got a shout out in there, and I'll stop making fun of him just because he said that. But
David Silver. Oh God.
Yeah.
Really?
It's bad. Oh. He seems like the type of guy that would love a good dad joke and a good pun, though.
Yeah,
it's true. Absolutely. But he has the nickname of boring James Milner, and he's definitely just flipped out on its head. He is now like weirdo James Milner.
There's also the video of him like in his backyard cutting the grass with scissors as well. Like
that's right.
He's fully lost it. He's gone full native. Like my man is he's putting out some great content, which is painful for me to see because I'm just like, dang, I'm starting to like this guy who played for City and now plays for Liverpool.
Yeah.
So I can't really like him ever. At all.
He's like one of those players who I've always, I think I more recently have appreciated him, but before I'm just like, this guy? Him? What's he doing in the starting 11?
Yeah, no, he's actually, I think, very underrated. I think he has been, been able to play any position and pretty solidly at any position for really, I think, very, very good teams. So, but anyway, moving on, the Tokyo Olympics will be staged in summer 2021 at the latest, apparently. That's unfortunate for the Olympics, but I mean, it's part and parcel of what's happening in the world right now. Moving on from that, Manuel Neuer of Bayern Munich, he mentioned that basically the squad has agreed to a 20% salary cut so that the other club employees will continue to be paid. He said, quote, that it was the least we could do. I agree, I think. I mean, that's, highly paid athletes that are probably, getting money hand over fist to a degree. And, it'll be kind of awkward if, you have your kit man and he's like, not even really being able to survive the past however much time it'll be.
Maybe this is just a stretch here. I feel like Bayern probably has the money to pay their staff anyway. Yeah. So I'm glad the players are doing it. It's a nice gesture and it looks good, but also at the same time, it's like Bayern has the money to pay their staff for a while. Like, let's be realistic. Like Manchester United are paying their staff as well. Like a lot of other big clubs are choosing to do that. But also you can see like some clubs aren't as good financial shape. Like Barcelona, they're not in a great place right now because of their wage bill and paying all the employees that work there. So it's just like some of these clubs, even though they're massive, don't have all of their finances in order. They're kind of finding that out.
And it's also, I think, though, some of the German clubs, they are owned by, partially fans as well. So maybe it is a little bit to kind of offset a little bit of that if the fans feel like they're being hard done a little. So could be that.
Yeah, but it helps for Bayern when the non-fan ownership that you have in your group is Audi, Adidas, and Allianz. So it's like you've got some pretty good, multi-billion-dollar companies backing you up there. I think you'll be okay.
Right.
Very true, though. Yeah. So also speaking of Liverpool, at least 2 or 3 topics ago, they will apparently begin the group training next week. That's actually going to be video call training sessions to help keep the fitness levels and team morale up. So, it's not quite as what you think. They're not kind of congregating together and, they're going to all maybe have coronavirus after that. No, it will not be that. Sorry. Didn't make you spew.
It's funny because it's Liverpool.
Yeah, but Jesus. We don't hate Liverpool that much. Oh, man, I know. Tanner does.
Do you know what's not on this whole rack of scarves? A Liverpool scarf. There is not one. There is an Arsenal scarf. There is an Arsenal. Yeah, there's an Arsenal. It's up at the top. It's up here, right next to. See? Arsenal,
right
Chelsea.
Huh.
Tottenham, Fulham, another Man Leicester. There's a Sunderland and a West Ham. There's never going to be a City or another Liverpool, and that's basically the point.
I'm mad that you have the Spuds up there, so, well, whatever. But
look, Kelly arranged this, not me, so, I used to have it. I know, but I don't feel like it takes work to deal with this. And so it used to be where I have the teams I liked on the top row and Arsenal is up there because I have multiple friends who are Arsenal fans, but Chelsea and Tottenham's on the bottom one because let's be honest, it's Tottenham. So come on. But yeah.
We're going to piss off so many different types of fans in this
What else am I supposed to do right now? Deal with it.
Anyway, so let's move on. In our last piece of news, the Wellington Phoenix, they are based in Sydney, Australia, apparently anyway, and their players have alleged to have stolen a golf cart, and after drinking, they were a little reckless with the golf cart, and they could be in a little bit of trouble, but very interesting. Don't be like those Wellington Phoenix players.
I mean, it could be worse. They could have been Alan Pardews, West Brom when they went to Barcelona and stole a taxi cab. So, could be worse. Could have stolen a cab.
Actual theft.
Yeah, that actually happened. Yeah, good job. They got relegated that year, by the way, West Brom. Shocking development. I know. Yeah. Who would have thought?
It's Alan Park. So, yep.
Right. Yeah. Team bonding, stealing a cab. Man.
I mean, how many people can actually steal a cab? It's like what, like max 4-5 people?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, how much team bonding is that really? But anyway, so that does it for the news, and that gets us to buy or sell. And simply, we put up an Atlanta United topic, and we say if we buy or sell it, and give our reasons why. Our topic of this one is MLS should void the first 2 weeks of the season. Buy or sell. We'll go with Tanner first.
I'm going to sell it. Yes, there's been a gap in between, but the 2 games still happened. If you want to hit your 34 league mark, to add 2 more games to that, you end up playing 36, I guess. I just don't see why they'd want to do anything to add any more games at this point whenever they do decide to start things back. And so, yes, unfortunately, they did happen before everything happened, but there was no way you could have expected things to get shut down for so long. So I think that they should stand, and I think that they will stand.
Mark?
Yeah, I'm going to buy it if it gets delayed anymore. Like, I think right now they're trying to come back in May 10th, I think was the unofficial date that they put out there. But yeah, I think if they have to delay it any more than that and it's into June, I mean, like, that would be like 3 months off of when they last played. And then so they would have to do like what we talked about before, some sort of exhibition period or some sort of preseason. And I just don't think, like, I think also at that point, like, if this continues and it has to be pushed back even further, I just don't think the 34 games are possible. And so if it is a case of where they're gonna have to adjust the schedule, cancel a game here or there, then I think they may as well just start from scratch for 2020, just do a special season. Obviously we know the situation, and then just go again in 2021 if they can play again this year.
Yeah. I sell it on how it's constructed currently. I guess if if what you're talking about, Mark, if they had to void part of it because maybe it's only like you're only playing teams in your division, maybe something like that. Okay, sure, void, because obviously some teams have already played from the other conference. But I think if it gets delayed, sure, it should maybe be considered to like. But I think you already have those 2 games, then it's like, well, we're not going to try to fit more games or anything like that. So why would they try to void? Especially also with the argument of, Liverpool, if they have their season voided, well, that's a whole, like, why should we void after 2 games? It'll be very interesting. Lots of arguments for this.
Do it. Do it.
But I think, it's just, we got to keep them because we played them. So
we also have to think about the fact that, like, for teams that are new this year, like Nashville, Miami, what do you tell Nashville that first game against Atlanta United wasn't actually their first ever game? It wasn't their inaugural game. Those moments and everything that they shared together didn't count. You're going to take that away from them and say we're so it's like I don't see how you do that. I mean, I just think that the games are going to stand, and they'll just end up rescheduling it however they reschedule it, just based upon the time. But like, adding more games just doesn't seem like something that they want to do at this point in time for any reason whatsoever, in my opinion.
Yeah. So let's move on to our next segment, and that's Reverse Pass. And let's have a little fun this week in this segment where we pick our ultimate Atlanta United 5-a-side. And the rules are they can have played for the 5 Stripes for any period of time, but we must all agree. And also, we'll also for fun pick our favorite English club's ultimate 5-a-side as well, very, very briefly. But and that would be Man U, obviously, for Tanner. If you don't know it's Man U by now, then you haven't been made.
I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, I don't know.
Chelsea for Mark and Arsenal for me. But anyway, so let's go through from the back. And obviously, I think this one's easy. Guzan, obviously, is the goalkeeper.
Yeah. It's
right?
easier for Atlanta United. You have 3-4 years to pick through. Really.
Indeed. So for you, Tanner, who is up next for you?
So I think you have to have at least one defender in there at some point in time. And for me, I'm actually going to go with Meza. I think that he's calm on the ball. He's quick in his decision-making. He doesn't hang out on it. And he seems to just pop across the back and get everything done. Plus, you don't really have to be tall for 5-a-side.
True. Mark?
For defender?
Yes. Oh, you don't have to choose a defender either, but, we'll still have to agree. So.
Right. Yeah, I think after Guzan, this is one of the positions I struggled with, right? Because there's like 2 or 3 that's like, I think, pretty easy that we're all probably going to have in there. but like you mentioned Guzan. But I think the defender I would go with is Parkhurst, because like he's, he could read the game. He was actually pretty solid in one-on-one situations. I remember like the first game I went to, which was that rain delay game versus Houston. Like Michael Parkhurst is one of the players that stood out to me when Houston was like on the break, and he was just like, it was just great watching him like manage those situations, even though like he's obviously giving up speed. So I think just his ability to read the game, defend, play out the back, and all that. I think Parkhurst for me is the defender I'll go with.
Yeah. I almost chose Parkhurst. I almost chose LGP. I'm not going to choose neither of those people. I'm going to choose Franco Escobar.
Ooh,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good one. No, that's a
Put
good
it on
one.
the ball. He's got pace for days. And he's a guy that can, I think, handle himself in the small-sided game as well. So the conundrum now is, who do we choose out of those?
Oh, I'm going to go to Escobar after you bring that up. Great point. Escobar.
I'm actually going to agree on Escobar.
I can't
because
Boom.
yeah,
That's a
like,
good shout.
I'm so mad for Escobar that how 2020 is playing out, because I was just so excited for him this season. But yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, and to be fair, you don't really need pace in a five-a-side game, but it is like if he, is playing up, and he will be playing up, he can at least track back very, very quickly, and I think it's a.
What I like about Escobar is that he's versatile. Like I think he can play all over the field, even on the left side. So yeah, in a five-a-side game, I think he'd be great actually.
Yeah. Okay, so Mark, who's up after that for you?
Well, I'm gonna go with one of the easy ones. Miggy is obviously in this team. Like he has to be in this team somehow. And so yeah, I think he's doing his thing that he normally does, but in a five-a-side setting should work out great.
Okay, Tanner.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really argue with Miggy, although I will say some of Miggy's biggest attributes are his pace and his ability in space, and he is incredibly one-footed. Like, he is incredibly one-footed, and we know that. Left foot, good. Right foot, standing leg. So how does that apply in five-a-side? I don't know, but at the same time, his talent is what's undeniable, and he is one of the most talented players to ever pull on the red, black, and gold, so I'll agree with you on Miguel Almiron.
Oh, okay. You guys put me in a little tough spot then. All right, well, might be overruled, but I think Darlington Nagbe is my guy right there in front of Escobar. I think because, in terms of distribution, in terms of keeping the ball, you're not going to be able to get it off of him in this five-a-side as well. He's very good in tight spaces. You need a guy in a five-a-side team that can do that. And then basically, you just give it to him and, you just have forwards. Everybody else is a forward. So,
for me, my thing is I would include both. So for me personally, I would include both of those players. So that leaves you now with one more player to go with Parker so you have we have Escobar, we have Nagbe, we have three. Well, don't you have five? Are we going six then?
No,
because you have Guzan is four.
If we take Nagbe and Almiron, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if you take both of them, you have one more player. You wouldn't take both. You wouldn't want Almiron.
We'll revisit this one then. All right. Let's move on to the next one.
How about this? So we have Guzan, we have Escobar. We all agree Josef Martinez. I would imagine, right?
We all agree Josef Martinez.
So we all agree Josef Martinez. So that's three. For me personally, if I had to bring two more players into that team, I think both Pity Martinez and Ezequiel Barco have to be nominated there, both because they're good in tight spaces and they're technically good on the ball. Out of the two of them, I would probably take Barco.
I take Barco. Yep.
So I think Barco probably has to be in the side.
Yes, he's a little safer. He's definitely. I think in terms of a final ball, like he's got a little bit more of that as well. I think the pass accuracy is pretty important here as well. If you lose the ball here, they don't have to go very far for them to score. So yeah, I think Barco and Joseph were the guys above that. I didn't have Miggy in this five-a-side. I know it's blasphemous, but it's just one of those where you don't need pace. and you
I
already
mean,
have
I
a
would-
ton of picks.
I would
So,
tend to agree with you on that. I mean, at this point, if you have Barco and Joseph up front, you need someone else who can run all over the pitch. And if you have someone in five-a-side who just has relentless fitness and can just run everywhere constantly, especially if they're tight in the ball and you can't get the ball off of them, that is something that is incredible. So yeah, I'll be fine with dropping Mickey for Darlington Nagby. I have no problem with that.
Okay, Mark, where
Yeah.
where were you feeling? What were you doing?
I think so. My side was originally Parkhurst, Miggy, Nagby, and Joseph. Now I agree on Escobar, so like Parkhurst out.
Mhm.
But that's tough. Like if I had to choose between Miggy or Nagby, yeah, I guess Nagby, because like okay, if the other spot's Barco or PD, I think there's a fair shot for PD actually. Cause
I think there is a fair shot for PD.
Absolutely there is.
Yeah, because he can pull the strings, and I think like the tight spaces like would be his strength totally. And like he wouldn't be shy of shooting, and you know he might hit one. But
long distance shots not really not really imperative. It sure you can here and there, but I think Barco can finesse it pretty decently. I think Nagby can probably even score in five-a-sides.
I mean, I think if it came down
right.
to dropping a defender in five-a-side, then you just drop Escobar and have Pity, Joseph, Barco, and Nagby, and you just have four technical guys, and then obviously Guzan and net if you didn't need a defender. Because I mean, I feel like I would in small side, I would probably actually, when you talk about it, include Pity over Miggy, just because they're the types of players, how they do, and how small-sided games work.
Yeah.
I would take Pity over Miggy.
But right now, I guess the vote is if it's Nagby or Miggy, because I guess our ultimate five-a-side would be so far Guzan, Escobar, Joseph.
Well, I guess in a sense, really,
Barco.
it's more of Barco versus Miggy for Mark, because he would have Nagby in the side. He said so. It comes down to would he have Barco over Miggy?
That's really the sticking point now. I mean, otherwise
Yeah.
we all agree. What you got, Mark?
I think. Wait, so you guys have Barco on the side, definitely.
So yeah,
Yes.
I definitely have Barco on the side.
Okay. Yeah,
Which is pretty much overruled, I guess. But I mean, we don't have to be unanimous, but we can.
I mean, we gotta settle this somehow. I can roll with Barco and I guess Nagby. So I have that right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Guzan, Escobar, Nagby, Barco, and Joseph. I think they're scoring tons of goals.
And if you don't need a defender, chuck Pity in there.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Sounds good. All right. That was fun. Well, now also really quickly then our ultimate five-a-sides of all time for our English clubs. We'll go with you, Mark, first for that.
Right. So yeah, Chelsea FC, the Blues, as I've talked about, not nearly as much as Tanner talks about United, but still a little bit. Yeah, it was the same kind of thing where I think like the first 3 or 4 players were easy to pick. It's Peter Cech in goal, John Terry in the back, Lampard, all-time leading goal scorer, playmaking midfielder, has to be there for us. And I think I would have Drogba in there because, like, he individually, like, he would just score some ridiculous goals. Like, AJ, I'm sure you're very familiar with this, but like,
Ooh. I'm gonna get you. Go on.
So yeah, I think my team would be like mostly big bodies and but with still like decent amount of skill. And the fifth player for me would be Hazard, just because he's like personal favorite of mine. Yeah, exactly. Like, but like I think for Hazard for me, it's an emotional thing because I started watching football in 2009, 10. And so, like, those aforementioned guys, they were, like, very much a part of the Chelsea core already. Whereas with Hazard, I saw the day, like, he arrived. I even remember assigning him and not really expecting that to ever happen. And then, yeah, his career, There's been some dips, but for the most part, it's been pretty good. And he's just been like a joy to watch. He's that kind of player. He's just like, he does fun stuff. He makes people look silly, like Francis Coughlin. And
yeah,
but,
not our best player, so.
But no, yeah, that's my all-time five-a-side for Chelsea.
Okay. I'll go next. Okay, Arsenal, definitely. I think in terms of the best goalkeeper for Arsenal is David Seaman. That's for sure. Jans Lehmann, sure, because he's part of the Invincibles, gets a shout, but I think it's David Seaman that's far and away. Tony Adams, that's just the best defender for Arsenal ever. And this one, obviously, I think it's.
I can feel like I can guess at least two of the other guys you're gonna say.
Yeah, I think this is pretty easy. Pretty easy for Arsenal anyway. Patrick Vieira, I think is my midfielder.
Right.
He's your do-it-all guy. He's that guy that can score your goals. He can be that steal in the midfield as well. Thierry Henry, of course, is up top, but and this is not a surprise, Dennis Bergkamp, I think, is also part of that five-a-side. I think if you know anything about Arsenal, it's those two guys are probably the 1 and 1A like best players that have played for Arsenal for sure.
If you could drop your defender, if you could drop Tony Adams and add another player, would you have Santi Cazorla?
I would, because I think his skill set plays really, really well for this type of game. But I'm trying to think if there's anybody who would try to maybe steal a position and put him in there. Cazorla is really best shout. Fabregas really, I think, would also be a good shout as well. But I think the close spaces, I think Cazorla is just definitely better. So, if it were, if Adams wasn't in there and it was just Vieira, Cazorla. All right, Tanner, and you.
All right, so for United, especially for a small-sided five-a-side game where you have a lot of lower shots, you have to have someone who's good at making saves with their feet. So even though I don't think he's the best keeper of all time for United, I'd have David De Gea in net, because I feel like on a five-a-side goal, he'd just be like, you're not scoring. Don't get me wrong, Peter Schmeichel, incredible goalkeeper. Edwin van der Sar, incredible goalkeeper. But feet saves for Dave is David De Gea. That's what he does. So in five-a-side, he'd just be perfect for it, I think. In terms of having to have a defender, for me, I'd have Rio Ferdinand. I love Rio Ferdinand. I thought he was great on the ball, and he's all over the place. Vidic is great, but I don't need someone who's destroying someone's souls like Danny Rose or something in a five-a-side game. And obviously, you could go Yap Sam, you could go Pallister, you could go Bruce, but I don't think those guys in five-a-side have the skill set. Paul Scholes.
No Keane?
No Keane. Paul Scholes. And then Cristiano Ronaldo, and then Wayne Rooney, I think. And then for me, I think the hardest player to leave out, mostly because I don't have a reference point of having seen him, but knowing that he was the best player in the world at the time. If he told me I don't have to have a defender, I'd drop Rio Ferdinand and I put George Best in a heartbeat. But obviously, having never been able to see George Best play and just having to see, documentaries and highlight clips of the guy, he'd be my one. If you had to pick a historical player to put in the side, I'd put him in there. But obviously most of these guys are based off of me watching them. So, so De Gea, Rooney, Ronaldo, Rio Ferdinand, and Paul Scholes.
I was definitely shocked that you didn't have Best in there, but then, okay.
It's tough, man.
Ronaldo and Rooney are also, it's kind of, you're pulling hairs at that point, splitting ends.
I think with all of our teams, we just have even though they're more recent, of more recent eras, they're still all-timers. And I just think that we've all been lucky, really. Not just with the players on our own teams, but the players in general that we've been able to watch most of, if not all of their career. Messi, Ronaldo are the obvious examples, but there are others, man, who have been, just so much fun to watch. I think we've been lucky for sure in this era.
I've been lucky. AJ kind of caught the tail end of it, so not as lucky, but
not as lucky, but and definitely for you, Mark, you got a bunch of the more recent guys, and it's but it's one of those things where Chelsea doesn't have any history before that. There it is. Anyway.
He's been waiting. He's been waiting.
All right, so let's get into the
I'd say you
mailbag.
vote for that.
And you guys send in these questions through IG story. Please continue to do so. We might answer your questions through in the future. First question comes from Me Cute P. What's the latest on player injuries, not including El Rey? Who wants to answer? Mark.
I mean, honestly, I think they should be mostly healthy by now, right? I mean, like Escobar was kind of a mystery. Like they just listed it as dead leg. So it seemed like that might have affected him for maybe a few weeks. But Miles Robinson was running. You know what I mean? Like he was participating in training, so he should be good. I mean, I think we're mostly healthy at this point, except for Josef, or should be very soon.
All right. Yeah, I think that's the thing about right now is, the media haven't really been able to even visit the training grounds, so there have been no updates on the players and what they're up to and if they've healed or anything like that. So the only one that we know of that is actually rehabbing anything is Josef Martinez, obviously. So,
right.
Next question comes from Keaton Thomas 61. Would you rather the season finish in November, December, or even in the spring like EPL? Tanner.
I mean, I think the difficult part about that is if you have the league finishing in the spring, then you're probably permanently having to adjust your schedule, or you're going to have to figure out some way where you finish the 2021 season very, very quickly. I mean, for me personally, I both love and hate the timeline that MLS uses. I love it because it means I get to watch soccer and a team I'm invested in all year round, and it helps span those kind of dog days of summer, which get really slow and boring sometimes if you just have a team in the Premier League or in Europe and you're just refreshing Reddit for transfer sagas every single day. Yeah. But at the same time, it would kind of be nice for them to as well to follow the same schedule, just because it makes, in terms of transfers and the team getting built, a whole lot easier, where you don't have to worry about the whole summer of your team who's playing if someone's going to leave in the middle of your year like that. But at the same time, we still don't know how long this is going to go on. Me personally, I don't want them to have to compact everything. So if you could figure out a way to finish it in the new year and also get your 2021 season in, that's what I would do. And maybe that means finishing your 2021 season in December again. I'd rather have that than trying to smash everything into 2020 and you maybe potentially pick up some more injuries because you're having players play too often.
Yeah. Quickly, Mark, what are you there?
I don't know about the spring. I mean, like, I wouldn't mind, but like Tanner said, I think the later you end this season, the more difficult it is logistically for future seasons. So,
yeah. I agree. I mean, December is probably the likely time frame right now anyway, and so if they can finish it, there's a precedent at least, and we've been able to at least kind of hurriedly start the next season and still make it work. So it's not the worst. But next question comes from Debbie Miller 26. She asks, any word on Josef's return? Mark.
No, I mean, well, we know he's had the surgery. I mean, like, that's the first step and the most important step. So, like, we know he's rehabbing. In terms of a target date, it just depends on how well his rehab goes, honestly. Yeah. Like, these are the most important days now.
So 6-7 months usually. So if he's ahead of schedule, then maybe September, but most likely it's going to be October, November.
Yeah, if he's on Zlatan's time frame anyway. But again, I'm in that time frame or mindset that he should not play this season. If he's really showing that he's able to, do some Zlatan things, right when he comes back, sure, maybe, but I think you just save him if you can. But so in my case, he should not return. Next question comes from Lawson Say, was it 04? Am I the only one that likes the postponement? More rehab for Josef. Okay, we kind of touched on this a little bit, but yeah, definitely more rehab for sure for him, and that's really helpful. And so if he does come back, great. Okay, next question comes from Nick B Studios. Will we even see Castro play anymore? And that's Manuel Castro. And remember, he's on a 6-month loan, and so he will have to go back, I think, in June, I believe, or July. Either way, that's if this kind of suspension still happens and continues where we don't even get to start for a certain amount of time, we will have seen him for all of 10, 15 minutes?
They'll probably end up extending that loan, is my gut feeling, is if they want him to play, unless they find other options, which is this is a chance for them to maybe assess and go, hey, maybe we do need something else somewhere and more players move on. But I feel like, having not seen him at all, they'd figure out some sort of extension to where they actually get to see him play before they decide whether or not they want to, keep him or let him go back.
Yeah, Mark?
Yeah, because it's the difficulty with this deal is that it was kind of complicated from the beginning, where it's, there's an initial loan and then they can extend it for the year, and then there's option to purchase or whatever. I think that they'll at least extend the loan. I think LA United will want to see what they have with this guy. They obviously liked him for a reason. So unless something drastically changes between now and we can start playing again. But yeah, they'll probably, I think, end up having to extend the loan or do something. That's one of those deals that's affected by in terms of a decision has to be made on it this summer. Now what?
Yep, in total agreement. So we'll leave it at that. Next question comes from Omar 1386. Canceling CCL, good or bad for us after that 3-0 loss? Mark.
What CCL? Cancel. No. I would like to play the second leg versus America. Preferably in the Benz, if it's available and they can do it. Just because it would be basically like a brand new team, and so it's like let's see what happens.
Yeah. Tanner.
I would not want it at the Benz. The specific reason of, if we're 3-0 down and things aren't going well, it would be a complete home game for Club America, because they'd still sell that thing out. And most Atlanta United fans wouldn't be bothered paying the Ticketmaster fees of having to play a game at the Benz and having to buy a ticket, plus the cost of the ticket, which would probably be more than the $50 potentially than what you paid at Kennesaw. So who really wants to pay $75 to see Atlanta United possibly get crushed for a second time by Club America, and it basically be a home game because the whole thing's yellow? Nah, I'm fine. Just don't even worry about playing the Champions League this year. No one wins it. Write that game off. Never happened, and we still have the only win over Club America, and they haven't beat us at all. Throw that in the bin, just like Liverpool's Premier League season.
All very biased reasons. But I think it's also, even talking about canceling CCL to begin with, is a very interesting concept as well, because
the money's not worth it, though. The money's not in it.
Yeah, I agree. It is definitely a thing of contention for people that are in the competition, or at least people watching the competition. But it still is the continental competition, and I guess it's contingent maybe on if the other Champions Leagues around the world are going to finish theirs. Because if North America can't have a representative in the Club World Cup, then it'll be kind of strange.
Next year was weird anyway. The Club World Cup was supposed to change because it was supposed. I'm not sure if there was one in 2020, but 2021 was supposed to be where I believe that they start having the 32 team tournament, and that's not going to happen anymore. I don't think, because the Euros and everything will be next year. And who's going to be sending players to play in a Club World Cup, and the same players are going to go play in Copa America and the Euros?
Right.
Yeah. It would be like the split team that Liverpool had earlier this year. It would be.
It could be the greatest thing ever, and it kills the Club World Cup for all of us, because no one really cares about that trophy unless you're a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, or a Real Madrid fan. But anyway, next question, or last question, comes from Stinky Tofu 90. Asks, hey, Atlanta United Fan TV, my question was too long for the IG story, but this is my question. AJ, I know you're a huge Outcast fan. How do you feel about Josef's mural being voted over Outcast mural? Mad snub, right? Thanks. I kind of disagree. I don't think it's really a mad snub. I think they're just more. I think it's more relevant right now, Atlanta United versus Outcast, and I think Outcast was second anyway. So I'm not really sweating it too hard. I love both, obviously, and it's just if either of them won, it'd be great. But if Atlanta and Josef's won, and especially in light of his injury and whatnot, I think this is a fantastic boost in his kind of morale and feather in his cap in his rehab right now. So
not to mention, it was left to an online vote, so there was only ever going to be one winner. If Atlanta United is involved in an online vote, go ahead and chalk it up as a dub.
Right. Yeah.
63% as a write-in vote. Yeah.
Seriously, right.
But anyway, that does it for the mailbag and pretty much the entire show except for the question of the day. And the question of the day is, what are you guys doing to keep from boredom in the quarantine? What movies, TV shows, books are you consuming? Give us some suggestions because I'm sure we're all about to feel even more of the quarantine coming soon. So let us know in the comments below. Do you guys have any suggestions real quick, right quick, of anything?
I went and bought a keyboard and I'm learning how to play that. So like I did something really random with my time and my money I was like, I have a lot of free time now, so may as well learn an instrument. Because I've already played lots of video games and watched lots of Netflix in my life. So I'm trying to be productive. Cooking more as well. Kind of doing some stuff. Trying to do self-improvement. You know what I mean? Like, what else do I have to do? It's the only place I can go to get food and do anything. So I may as well get fresh food instead of eating frozen pizza and bagel bites like I ate before this freaking thing.
I was about to say, man. You were like... But anyway, Mark?
Yeah, I got one movie, one TV show, one book. So I started Breaking Bad. I'm already in season 2. Pretty solid so far.
One of the best shows ever, if not ever.
Yeah, loving the character development, loving all of that. Movie, I watched Goodfellas recently, which I've seen before, but like I saw it was on Netflix, and I was like, oh yeah, it's been a while. Still good. A little more.
Goodfellas or Godfather? I'm the Godfather guy.
Probably.
Guy as well.
Probably Godfather because of 1 and 2 were both fantastic. So. And
then 3 never happened.
Yeah, and also there was a fair amount of probably accurate racism in Goodfellas, but you know, that's neither here nor there. And in terms of a book, so like years ago, I don't know if you guys remember that the Great Book of Basketball that Bill Simmons wrote.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love Bill Simmons. I haven't heard of that book. But...
Yeah, this is like years ago. My friend gave it to me, and I found that book again. I was like, you know what? I haven't read it. I'm gonna read it. So that's my goal anyway. I haven't actually started, but I told myself that I would read that book.
Awesome. Well, guys, let us know in the comments below what your suggestions are, and that's it for us today. Thank you to all of the hospital workers, people stocking up groceries, delivering food, picking up the trash, all those keeping our infrastructure in place. You are the real heroes for sure. But stay safe, fam. We love you. For Tanner, for Mark, I'm AJ. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.